All right, guys. So we have a story that I said I would stop talking about. However, I keep talking about it because it keeps dragging on, right? And that is this Dave Chappelle drama that has stemmed from his Netflix special that came out, what was it, like a month ago, 2 months ago now, right? It feels like forever ago, okay? In which, there's continued backlash over this stuff. It just will not go away. It won't go away. And I feel like maybe a week ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, I did a story about how his high school, his alma mater, he's supposed to be doing a fundraiser for them as they're opening up a new theater, and he's supposed to be helping them fundraise. And this theater is supposed to benefit the kids, right? The kids that go to his school. However, these ungrateful kids, or at least some of them, are upset with Dave Chappelle, right? They've been protesting Dave Chappelle coming to the school, right, and fundraising for them, right? Something they're gonna benefit from. They've been protesting because they don't like what he said in his Netflix comedy special. So lo and behold, Dave Chappelle actually finally does show up to the school, and he has a conversation with these kids. And in the most Dave Chappelle way possible, he ends up basically roasting these kids in a back and forth between him and them in an auditorium. And Politico wrote up a nice little write-up in regards to what happened that I want to share with you guys, because I find it absolutely hilarious. Some of the things that Dave Chappelle said, and the fact that he refuses to apologize for his statements, right? And I think this is a good example that Dave Chappelle is setting for people in this woke era where everybody's expected to apologize over opinion, right? Over something that they say. Okay, it's ridiculous. Even if they're not really wrong. Like, Dave Chappelle wasn't really wrong, right? So what should he apologize for? Nothing. Okay. So let's read here. A not so welcoming homecoming. Dave Chappelle made a surprise stop by DC's Duke Ellington School of the Arts on Tuesday in the latest chapter of the running saga with his alma mater. But if the self-proclaimed GOAT hoped to smooth things over amid the backlash over his jokes about transgender people, he was in for a surprise of his own. Some 580 students packed into an auditorium to hear their school's most famous alumnus discussed the uproar triggered by his Netflix special, The Closure, with a camera crew in tow. Chappelle took the stage to a raucous reception of cheers and some boos, and the hour-long session went south from there, we're told. During a Q&A session, one student stepped to the mic and called Chappelle a quote-unquote bigot, adding, "I'm 16 and I think you're childish. You handled it like a child," according to two students present. The comments were confirmed by Chappelle's spokesperson, Carla Sam. So they're telling Dave Chappelle that he's childish, right? He's childish. He handled it like a child. What was he supposed to do? Was he supposed to apologize, right? Apologize for jokes and comedy? Furthermore, the only people that I'm seeing in this situation that is handling this like children are the people that are upset with what Dave Chappelle said. Okay, because adults are supposed to be able to disagree with somebody in their opinion and move on from it, right? Be like, hey, I disagree with you. It is what it is. Let's move on, right? Children get upset, cry, and whine all day, and won't ever let things go, right? Like these people not letting things go, right? Adults can simply disagree and move on. These people can't, right? They can't. They have to hold this grudge forever. Again, it's been like, what, 1 or 2 months? And they're still mad about this. They're still upset about this. Chappelle responded, as recalled the next day by the students, "My friend, with all due respect, I don't believe you can make one of the decisions I have to make on a given day." That peeved some students who were hoping for an apology or some semblance of one from Chappelle. Again, what is it that he needs to apologize for? Again, this is the problem, right? I was just reading a story about Lauren Boebert apologizing for some comments that she made about Ilhan Omar. And I'm like, why does she need to apologize for the comments for? Right? I understand that people, don't like the comments. They think the comments were out of bounds. But at the same time, it's almost like you're always expected to apologize to the woke mob. But when the woke mob gets out of line, they're never expected to apologize, right? Ilhan Omar never has to apologize for the things that she says, right? When she says that, some things happen, okay? Or when, Cori Bush is saying all types of racist stuff, she doesn't have to apologize for that. Making up stories, she doesn't have to apologize for that. They never have to apologize. But lo and behold, if somebody says something about them, first thing they want to do is cry foul, right? Oh, you got to apologize. Same thing with Chappelle, right? He says something, he makes some jokes, and everybody wants him to apologize. And I'm kind of sick of it, right? I'm sick of people apologizing for things that they say and opinions that they have, okay? In response to another antagonistic question, Chappelle roughly told the student body of artists, I'm better than every instrumentalist artist, no matter what art you do in this school right now. I'm better than all of you. I'm sure that will change. I'm sure you'll be household names soon. He's basically saying, I'm better than y'all. Y'all should focus more on your craft than coming after me and the things that I'm saying. Maybe if you focused on your craft, you could be as rich and famous as I am, right? I mean, in fact, Dave Chappelle is actually trying to help them, right? That's the whole point of the new theater, is to help them be rich and famous. But again, these kids can't see the bigger picture. They can't see that Dave Chappelle is actually trying to help them. That Dave Chappelle cares a lot about them and their futures, right? Regardless of their sexual identity, their gender identity, okay, their race, any of that stuff. He cares about them. That's why he's trying to help them raise money, right? Same thing when it comes to the transgender employees at Netflix. Dave Chappelle and his Netflix special is one of the reasons that Netflix makes money, right? Netflix takes that money and they use that to hire people like them, to give them jobs so they can feed their families. But again, they don't understand that, right? They can't grasp that concept that Dave Chappelle and what he's doing is a lot more positive than it is negative. And the positive aspect definitely outweighs the fact that they're getting their feelings hurt, because what he's doing is actually benefiting them, right? The students recall that another student in the audience shouted at him, quote unquote, your comedy kills. And Chappelle shot back, N-words are killed every day. He then asked, the media is not here, right? Again, I found this to be hilarious because the student saying that your comedy kills, which is something that people on the left always say when they don't have a valid argument for anything, right? When they want to block speech, right? And when they want to censor you, when they want to silence you, what they say is that what you're saying is hurting me, right? It's actually causing real life violence. That's what they say with no real evidence, okay? Because I guarantee you this student wouldn't be able to name anybody that has lost their life over something that Dave Chappelle has said, right? The argument is always going to be, well, his rhetoric in general, the things he says in general, I define as hateful, and hatefulness leads to people getting killed, right? That's what the argument is going to be. And I think Dave Chappelle basically said N-words are killed every day is him basically kind of shrugging it off, right? Him kind of dismissing the idea that he should be concerned about the things that he says and the potential harm from the things that he's saying. Because again, if he is to be concerned about that, right, that comedy kills people, if you buy into that, then hey, even if it's true, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to just stop having comedy? Right? Are we supposed to just cancel speech altogether? Right? Nobody can have an opinion because it ain't just comedy. I can argue a whole bunch of stuff kills people, right? Are we supposed to just cancel anything that kills people, right? Is that what we're supposed to do? Again, what he's saying is low key, he has a point. He's like, yeah, people die every day. It happens. It happens, right? So, I guarantee you, that student was hurt by that comment. And I just love the fact that Dave Chappelle is just not backing down from this, because he shouldn't, right? One disturbed parent, the students who spoke to declined to go on the record out of fear of retribution from the school. The father of one of the students, who also declined to speak publicly to protect the identity of his daughter, said, as a parent, I have to say I have a real problem. He was being dead serious and using the N-word on the record. What kind of judgment is the school showing to allow that? Well, I mean, I always find it hilarious when people, for whatever reason, have a problem with a black person using the N-word, right? Black people, right, have been using the N-word for a long time, okay? And people on the left have no issues with black people using the N-word, except when it comes to when they don't like that person, right? For example, like the LA Times ran a piece about Larry Elder using the N-word. And it's like, you never run a piece about all the rappers and all the other black people and entertainers that use the N-word all the time. Now all of a sudden the N-word is bad because you don't like the person that's using it. Again, I just find it hilarious when people start to complain about stuff like that when they otherwise wouldn't have anything to say, okay? I mean, you're talking about Dave Chappelle here. He's a comedian. Sims, the Chappelle spokesperson, responded, they're complaining that he talked and said the N-word. If anything, Dave is putting the school on the map. Chappelle has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for Duke Ellington and brought A-list celebrities such as Bradley Cooper and Chris Tucker to its campus. Ding, 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 ding. Right? That's what actually really matters. The fact that he's raising money for this school and helping these students nurture their talents, right? That's what really matters. But again, these people, again, can't see the bigger picture. The two students who spoke to Playbook said they are afraid to speak up at the assembly because Chappelle often laughed at students' questions and responds with jokes. At one point, after a student left the assembly room, Chappelle singled her out by saying, of course she left early. He just roasted these kids at this point. All right, he's just having fun with them. Sam said that the person couldn't even entertain the idea of a conversation. Of course they can't. None of these people can entertain the idea of a conversation. They cannot entertain the idea of hearing a perspective that is different than theirs. They cannot entertain the idea of hearing something that they disagree with. They just can't. Some students were equally put off by Chappelle. He could tell we were nervous, said one of the students we spoke with. It was a huge power imbalance of this grown man and his camera crew and these 14 to 18-year-olds without their phones, just high school students. Students had to lock their phones in special pouches beforehand to prevent recordings. A spokesperson for the school said that about 8 students came forward to ask questions. During the conversation with students and staff, Chappelle specifically invited the voices of discontent to ask questions. However, as a result, the supporters of Chappelle became the silent majority, said Duke Ellington spokesperson Savannah Overton. Our principal was approached by several students after the assembly who were disappointed that they were not able to voice their support for Chappelle in this form. Well, I gotta say, you probably didn't need it too much, right? Because, Chappelle, I think most people know that a majority of the country supports him. Okay, and I would find it much more entertaining and productive for him to actually address his critics directly, right? That's what I would much rather see, right? I'd much rather see that. I don't think Dave Chappelle really needs too much of a support audience, to be quite honest with you, because I think most people support him. No hard feelings. According to students, Chappelle seemed to soften up as he wound down. Turning to the camera, he spoke out against death threats some students have received since protesting him. The school has responded by increasing security and barring students from leaving campus for lunch. His whole tone changed, one student said. He said, this is my family, and whether you know it or not, I love these kids. I don't want to hear about any threats to these kids. These kids don't deserve that. Again, this man actually cares about these students. But these students that don't like him, that want to cancel them, can't actually see the bigger picture, and that's the problem. He was really kind, the student added. If only he had acted that way the whole time, there was no reason for him to be mean to us. He was just laughing at kids. No, the reason is because he's showing you guys that you need to stop being so soft, right? You need to stop being so soft. It's okay to laugh at jokes. It's okay to be made fun of. It's okay. Life moves on. We should all be able to laugh at each other, make jokes, disagree with each other without hating each other. Right? Without canceling one another. It's very simple. He's trying to teach you a lesson, right? That's what he's trying to do. But again, these kids these days are so soft, right? They can't handle anything. I mean, it's crazy how, we have a generation of kids, maybe not these kids, but before that grew up on like South Park, right? South Park. But how do you come so soft growing up watching stuff like that? I don't understand. A parting grip, Sam said Chappelle was expecting forgiveness from students not to offer an apology of his own. The school postponed an event to name its theater after him amid concerns about students' reactions to his special. He said kids deserve an F for forgiveness and said, but give them some space to grow. They are going to say things that are immature. Yeah, these people don't know how to forgive. And generally in our society, we don't know how to forgive. We really don't. That's one thing we have totally forgot about as a society is forgiveness. On his way out, Chappelle gave 3 tickets to each of the students for the screening of his documentary Untitled at Capital One Arena that night, and 600 Thanksgiving meals for students and staff. So yeah, even after these people tried to cancel this man, right, at his own high school, okay, at his own high school, he still decided out of the count of his heart to help them with Thanksgiving meals and give them tickets to his show. Again, you know, Dave Chappelle, in my opinion, him handling this whole thing, he is really like giving the roadmap for how you handle the woke mob, right? You kill him with kindness. Okay, you don't back down, you don't apologize, but you kill him with kindness. That's what you should do. So, shout out to Dave Chappelle, man. Again, hopefully this is the end of this chapter. It won't be, but hey, who knows? I just find it surprising that this thing has went on so long to the point that the man is even being protested at his former high school. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.